Hi, and welcome to Flute Topics, a program covering all things flute. I'm Helen of Helen's Willow Wind, and occasionally we'll be joined by my parrot. And I'm thrilled to be here today with Cornell Kinderknecht to talk about flutes. And how are you, Cornell?
Hey, doing okay. Hello, everyone, and hello, Helen. Good to be here with you today.
You know, I've enjoyed everything leading up to this moment of coming to Flute Topics, Cornell, and I can't wait to share with everybody a little more about your story and some of the other things that we're going to cover today. I'm really looking forward to that because I love your story of how you came to music. So I hand it over to you.
Oh, sure. Yeah, happy to share that. Let's see, I've told it so many times, I better make it sound kind of similar each time. So I grew up in a household where there was always music, and my family had a band, and it was my mother's band. And when I was a kid growing up, there were always musicians over the house or someone playing music. And so it was always there. So it wasn't like, I say it's not a special thing, but really it was, because it was always there. But it was one of those things, it was just part of the household. So there was always music. So it was pretty certain that I was going to be involved in some way. But anyway, I started out as a saxophone player around age 10. My mom taught me to play.
Mom taught you? Wow.
Yeah, she was a saxophone player. And it was the style of teaching like we have in folk music. It was like, here's an instrument, your fingers go there, this is what it sounds like, go. So it wasn't like reading from a book or learning from a method or something like that. That's how it was. And so I learned the songs that she and the band were playing. I was a bit young to be going out with them and playing, but and I needed several more years of practice, but that's how I got started. And then later in school, like when I became old enough to be in school band and those things, I took everything music possible and got really involved. And so that got me really playing and practicing. It was really about high school age that I became pretty serious about playing and practicing. And and then just moving on from there, when I went to college, I went to school in software engineering, and I got sort of away from music, but I always continued playing for fun. And but I played in bands during that time, some pop bands, and I played in a big band, and again, consuming everything that I could. And then I got a career in music. Not a career in music. I got a degree in music also. When I finished my engineering degree, I was working part-time on campus in a software position. And so I thought, while I'm here, I'm going to pursue a music degree just for fun. And then after that, just for fun, and just to say, hey, I did it. And it gave me lots of opportunities to play. And boy, I enjoyed that time because I got so many opportunities to play music all day long, every day. And so after I graduated with that degree, I moved here to Texas and to pursue my career in software engineering. And I sort of got away from music for a while, other than a piano around the house. And at some point I became interested in playing music again. And I was a substitute piano and organist at a church. A small church is what I did, just to get engaged with music and still have time for my other career, but have music in my life again. But then right around 2001, something happened. I was at a silver flute convention, the National Flute Association, concert flute. I went to their convention because I had a friend there that was playing in the competition. And on the trade room floor, among all the piccolos and flutes, there was this table that was called something like Sounds of Nature or something like that. And anyway, they had drums, and they had these things that looked like this. And it's like, I had seen photos of those, and so I knew that was a Native American flute, knew nothing about it, but I thought, I'm going to pick one up, see, I can make sounds on that. This is fun. Not too expensive. I'll get it. And anyway, I'll just jump quickly then through the rest of the story. As you guys know, I had one, then I had two, then I had three, then I had 15. And I found some other players locally who played. I found the Flute Circle. But just jumping forward then, I got a little bit more involved and people started asking me to perform. And that really got me more involved with native flute. And then around 2006, 2007, that's when I started being a musician full time. And it wasn't really intended that way. It was just the nature of what I had a period of my longtime job that I was no longer at, and I decided I was going to just dabble in music a bit until I found that next engineering job. And anyway, I've been dabbling then for the past however many years it is, about 15 years or 14 years. So that's it in a nutshell.
But you still dabble in the engineering now too, but the music's full time, so everything is switched, right?
Mm-hmm. That is correct.
And, you know, what I love about your story is you were brought up in one, God bless your mother playing the sax. Oh, that's very impressive. And they brought you along by the love of music, and if it sounds good in here, try this, put your fingers here and dive in. So then when you got to formal training, you were comfortable, because a lot of people, when they go into formal training, sometimes they have the love of it lost a little because it's not as free. So you were free to start with, so then you could go to the theory from there.
Right. And I think you described it pretty well. And, you know, when I came to that, you know, through the school music program, I was very comfortable with playing at that point. And so, you know, it was that, and I was, you know, the expression and what do you want to say, emotion, I'm trying to think, but, you know, an expressive player, because, you know, I'd been, well, I was a couple of years ahead of everyone as far as playing and holding an instrument. And yeah, then the other things that were taught, you know, it sort of came naturally. But yeah, I really feel fortunate to have both sides of that coin, you know, that folk music side, or that's what I call it, you know, the more traditional where you learn because someone put an instrument in your hands and said, go and listen to this, do as I do. And then I have that other side as well. And I think it's wonderful. Your
mom, your family, and all those people when you were young set you up to be a sponge, to be able to take it all in and blend it. That's amazing. Now, I know you said you played in big bands and some other things, but I have a burning question. Did you ever get to play with your mom? Because as you grew older, I'm assuming she was still playing. Did you actually go out and play with her at some point?
Yes, yeah. When I was reached high school age, when I was 14, and so at that point, the band was my mom, one of my sisters, one of my brothers, and myself. And so it was when I was that age, then I started playing with them, and that was, yeah, so those 4 years of high school, that's what I did to be a popular kid with my peers during high school on the weekends.
And I was popular because I had extra horses for everybody, so we all had that thing. And it was,
okay.
Do you get together with the siblings still and to play on occasion, or when you see each other?
That used to happen. It doesn't happen anymore, and I don't know that it would be able to, is, you know, that my mother passed some years back, and then my oldest sister did as well, and those were really the ones that kept it going. But that used to be a thing when we would get together. The living room would be filled with instruments, and we'd have a time that we'd play. And I had a few times, you know, even after my mother was gone, there were a few times with my oldest sister that we would still have music. If we were somewhere and there was a piano in the room, it was piano duet time, and, you know, just make up stuff and play. And then a few years before she had passed, we were all in town for a family wedding, and we played together there. We did a song. And then what was fun, though, afterwards, late at night, we'd gone over to one of my other siblings' houses, and there was a guitar and a little, you know, an electronic keyboard, and some other musicians over. And, you know, it was kind of like sitting in the circle, like we do flute circle, presenting songs, playing together. And it's like, and I think, wow, that was, you know, the last time probably that would happen. I mean, I didn't know that then. But,
right.
Yeah.
It's a good thing you didn't, so that you could enjoy it.
Yeah.
You know, I too lucked out in that my family would have bands together. I was the youngest of 5, though, and you know, after Sunday dinner, and it was always fun. But being as young as I was, I'd put my tap shoes on, pick up the tambourine. Eventually, I got the cowbell one day. But they realized cowbell and drumstick and Helen, no, we won't do that. But by the time, I was ready to go on, I loved the violin. But at that point, everybody started exiting the house. They were getting older. There was many years between the siblings. So we didn't take it as far as you did, but we had a lot of fun. And those of us who have had that experience, Cornell, we're lucky. We're very lucky.
I know. And it's like, I think back at it now, it's like, we didn't know we were as lucky as we were. But then it's like, well, as you said, maybe it's good we didn't know. And, because then it was nothing special. And in reality, it really was.
But you can relax into it. So now you're teaching lessons. I've been to your workshops. I love the one that you did with Johnny Lipford. That was wonderful. What are you doing with your lesson programs, and where are you going? What direction are you going in now?
Sure. The online classes and lessons this past year, well, I've been doing online lessons for many years, but this past year when everyone's at home clicking on their computers and most everyone figured out how to use their cell phone and the microphone and camera on their phone. And so it is really nice for like our flute community, that's all spread out and many people not having their circles that we could do things online. So, but more to your question, what is coming up? So, besides my individual lessons, I'm currently teaching a songwriting class, and songwriting means like it does for NAF. It might be improvisation, it might be writing things down. And so that's happening right now, but coming in July, I've got a series called the Summer Style Learning Series. And so what it is I have 3 open Saturdays. So each week we're going to look at a different style of music. So the first week we're going to learn and play some Celtic songs. The next week it's going to be, I think I called it like sweet and melodic or smooth and melodic. So it's really the heart and soul of our instrument, that sweet sound. And then the last week it's I called it Beyond Pentatonic, but it's really the like the Eastern scales, the exotic scales, different scales to, play different style of music. And so those are 3 standalone workshops. And then I hope, well, I won't say I hope, I will have it. It will get done. So on the mindful fluting classes that I did earlier in the about a month ago or 2 months ago, what I will be doing starting in July is do a weekly drop-in. I'm thinking to call it a midday musical mindfulness or something like that, and do once a week, and people can drop in or purchase, just like a month pass and come whenever they want. And so it'll be a mindfulness practice that people can come to that has music. And those are the big things for the next month.
Well, I want to really stay in this wheelhouse here because I love what you do. I happen to have a schedule. You're in Texas, I'm in New England. There's just not enough hours in the day. And I'm very interested in the workshops that you've done about songwriting and so forth. And I've talked to you about coming on my other programs and helping my students with that. Will some of these programs be coming back around again, like not so much version 2, but offering them again so that I have a chance to be in them?
Yes,
I'm very interested.
Yeah, I usually cycle through the group classes, and I have several going at any given time, or multiples going. And so yeah, they cycle. For example, then in August, I'll have a follow-up to the songwriting for those who want to continue on. And then I have another group that's been together as a group, some of them since way back in person here in Dallas, but it expanded to online, who've been playing together for quite a while. And that came out of my songs class last summer. And so yeah, I cycle through them. I don't know when I'll do songs again, probably later this year. And then I do some other offerings. I haven't done a beginner's workshop since last fall. I might do that, or I might choose to do those as here's a getting started one-off, or a couple of those, so that sort of thing. But yes, they do cycle through.
Well, good, because I really need a lot of help in those areas, as do all of us. I don't care what level player you are, beginner to advanced. everybody has a different way of explaining things, and you pick up different things from different people by their approach. And speaking of approach, I'm fascinated by your mindfulness teachings, because I've been teaching yoga and meditation since 1995, wrote a book, yay, big deal.
Ooh, yes.
I enjoyed that process, so in and of itself, the process was fun. So I'm very interested in how you come to the mindfulness, because I know you're involved with the meditation. And I would love for you to just go further into that, because I could listen to you talk about that all day, and I know I use it in my practice and with my students, and it's just a passion of mine. So
yeah, we'll see where this takes us here, Helen.
Talk about the mindfulness place. That you're a director, right?
Right. Yes. Yeah. So how this came to be, it was years ago. I was looking for something, and I didn't know what it was, and I heard things about, well, meditation meant something else to me or whatever. I was looking for something. It's like I didn't know quite what it was, and so what I found was a yoga class. And I don't know anything, I didn't know much about yoga other than that. And I thought, I'll go to that. That must be this mystical experience that people are having. And well, it was just a poses class at the local rec center, so it didn't really get into, we talk about centering, our core from a physical standpoint, but we didn't really touch on the other bits. And so it's like, well, maybe that's not what I was looking for. But then through these flutes again, just by the nature of them, I would get asked to play for like a yoga class or some other sort of, event that was kind of leading me towards the meditation people finding me.
There is a big difference between Americanized yoga and meditation and real yoga and meditation.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Yeah, and that's kind of, and I think when you and I were talking, in the couple of weeks ago, and both of us kind of, fell into it however we fell into it, and then learned there was so much more than just you go to class or you sit quietly, which that's one thing. If I forget to say it, Helen, remind me to talk about, it's not about sitting quietly.
Yes. Okay, I will be sure. I'm not the quiet type anyway. People look at me and they're like, you teach yoga? I mean, because I'm very energized. I'm not, and it's like, well, you should see me if I don't do my meditation.
Yeah. Yeah. So as I was asked to play for an event, and I was asked to play flute before and after a Buddhist guided meditation. And I said, sure, I'll do that. And I was expecting it to kind of go like I had played for some other services that were like interfaith, bring together people of multiple cultures, and so they'd have a rabbi, a monk, a priest, and so on. And so I thought, oh, that's probably what this is, but this wasn't that. But I played flute. There was a Buddhist guided meditation that was cool, and then I played flute after it. And then the person who led that asked, hey, would I like to come to his meditation group on Thursday and do the same thing there? And it's like, meditation group? Sure, that'd be a good place to find some people who would like to listen to my music. So I went to it from a musical standpoint. And I went, and they sat, and it's like, this is odd. They're sitting here quietly for 20, 25 minutes. I just said it is about sitting quietly. And before I said I wasn't. But anyway, I was just saying it was different than what I knew as meditation when you're at church and meditation lasts 30 seconds or something like that. But anyway, I don't want to scare people away with that. But I continued to go. They asked, can you come again next week? And so I did. And it so happened it's like, well, I can sit here with them and then do the practice. Then it became much more than that quiet sitting. It really became that awareness of throughout the day, that the awareness that what am I doing right now? Which is mindfulness, rather than running my list of what I need to do tomorrow or what I wish I had said in the meeting earlier today. It's like, okay, that starts rattling off because that's what our brains do. But then it became that I just recognize my brain is rattling through all this stuff and I'm getting anxious about that meeting I had earlier today and didn't say the right thing. And so it's like, oh, that Thursday night thing where I play flute before and after, we talk about, okay, well, focus on what I'm doing. I am driving home right now. I'm driving home and I'm breathing. And, and so those practices, and I know I'm really simplifying it or making it hard, whichever way you look at it, but it was through that I came into that practice of mindfulness and meditation. And something I'll say about meditation, this is what my teacher had said, I didn't come to meditation because I was good at it. I came because I needed it. And what I said earlier, it isn't about sitting quiet and all that. It's really about, and you probably have lots to say this with yoga too, because it's that same, it's really every day, all the time, yes. Where you're using those practices, those, centering practices. And so can you meditate while there are, you're sitting in a bus and there are cars honking and all that? Yep. Yeah. and
the yoga I do is functional too. The way I sit, the way I move, the way I pick up my food or my glass of water, and yes, you can meditate while you're talking to somebody, whether it's a wonderful conversation or it's a tough one.
Yeah.
It helps.
And when you're being chased by a bear, mindfully breathe in and out and run. Or stand still, whatever people say to do, but...
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
That just put a picture in my head that was rather humorous.
It could be, we could do a program around it somehow. And so there is that, about, picking up your instrument and stuff like that. It's like, well, picking up my instrument, you connect with it. And there's a process. Feel it in your fingers. Really be aware of the finger holds, and know that your breath is going to be going through that, and something's going to come out. And just being present with that, I think, is wonderful. And I'm guessing through yoga and physical exercise, you probably like even getting in and out of the car, or getting up in the morning. And
how I get in and out of the car is ruled by my breath. How I get in and out of a chair. And it's funny, I was a professional horseman before this, and when you got to the gate, it didn't really matter at a competition. I will get back around to meditation, yoga, and the flute. Is you get to that gate, and all the training you had before doesn't count. It's right there in that moment. I learned this years before I ever did yoga, because I thought yoga and meditation was really kind of out there. And, look at me, I was a hippie for sure, and I thought yoga was strange. So, anyway, but when I was competing and you got to the gate, all that mattered was you took that breath and the two of you went out and you committed to what you were going to do. And if you were committed and you fell off, well, then you committed to falling off and rolling. And I've taken that to the flute because I get nervous and so forth. And I will pay attention to the flute as I pick it up. But as soon as the flute touches my lips, I get that same mindset of commit. No matter what's coming out, no matter who I'm in front of, how I do, I'm committed. And from that first note forward, there's no going back. And that has been wonderful for shoring up my nerves when I go out and do a gig. But at the same time, I think nerves, a little bit of them is good for you because it shows you're excited and that you care. It's when they get out of control. And that's where meditation and being mindful helps.
Yeah, and that practice, I think, like you said, when you and the horse arrive at the gate, at the entrance, it's on. And I think for me, that's it. Wherever you arrive, it's like right there, and it's like that I don't know quite how to say it, but that you're present, and it's not that everything around me is peaceful and calm, or that my life is peaceful and calm. It's like, but what this gives me is amidst all of the running about and all of the daily life things that need to be fixed and taken care of right now, is that the practice, the skill of being able to just say, well, right now what I need to do, I guess, is call the plumber and breathe. Yeah, there's water squirting out of the side of the house, but it is. But it's that ability to call that up is where I was getting at. Just call that up in the midst of everything going on. And for what you said about what it is for you for playing the flute, that it touches the lips and there it is. For me, that I have a few things that I do to calm myself down. One, but also to not take myself too seriously, yet kind of not put any kind of false expectations in front of myself. And there's a few things that I do when it's playing for others. And it would be ideal if before every time we played, we could go to a room for a half hour and sit in quiet. Maybe sometimes we can do that, and I encourage, if people can do that, do settle in. But the reality, when we're playing at a music festival or something like that, where it's like someone different on the stage every 15 minutes or every 30 minutes or every hour, whatever it is, right before you go on, you're busy, and so we don't have that time. But for me to take the music away from, or to take, I guess I'll say, to get myself of, I've got to do this right, I've got to do it, I've got to do it. It's really about, hey, I've played and practiced plenty. I feel pretty secure about this. Some things might go haywire, but worrying about it right now isn't going to do much. And so for me, I have just in my mind, and I won't say it exactly because I think it more than I say it in words, but to take the pressure off of me, because it's not about me, it's really about the people listening. They're there to gain something, whatever it is. And mine is, may what I play tonight be of benefit to one person here. May it be what they need to hear today. And so that's my mantra before playing, it's like, it's not about me, but it's about, I hope that I'm able to help someone have some sort of positive experience. And then from there, it's really not about me. And yeah, I get nervous, and sometimes I get back to, I can't believe I just missed that. I've played the song 1,000 times, and it's like, but then, well, I'm among friends. What's going to happen? Yeah.
Well, and it's funny. You've said something like that to me in the pre-chatting that we've done. But for some reason, it resonated now. See, that's that whole thing. You learned something from how somebody says it, and you may have said it that way, but it just came across different. You were talking about, may you make a difference for one person. And here's a sea of people. That's what we're all nervous about. There's a sea of people out there. Mm-hmm. But you're thinking, one person is good. Mm-hmm. And you know what? That takes that goal and that pressure off. You don't have to, and by playing and thinking about it in that simpler, cozier, more comfortable terms allows you to reach more people, I'm sure, and also keeps you in a different place. That was really nice. That was really nice piece of information there. Yeah,
and the way you put it, I think it's just really one person, and that expands beyond our music and our meditation and our fluting. It's like you look at everything happening in the world, and I know this is kind of maybe a little bit heady for people or something, but you look at everything. Well, what can I do? What can I do that affects world hunger around the other side of the world? Well, nothing. So I'm not going to do anything at all. It might be our mindset, but it's really, there's nothing I can do today that's probably going to impact that immediately, but it's just one person. Can I connect with one person today and, say something nice, smile, whatever it is. And, for that moment, they had a good experience, and maybe that made them not grumpy at the next person. Or they told a funny story, this guy who came and smiled at them. Okay, it gave them entertainment to talk about it later or something.
Yeah, there's always that. There was that one person that came up to you and said about how they feel when you play. And I think that person also captured for me what I feel about you too. And it's your story to tell, but I wanted to make sure I brought it up anyway so that you would bring that up, because there is that person who verbalized it, but it goes further out into waves with other people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thanks for reminding me of that. Yeah, we talked about that, I think, the first time we talked.
One of my favorite stories about you.
Yeah, and it was a turning point for me. I have a few of those that I think are turning points, and this was one. And it was at a church that I'm sometimes a guest musician at, and so I come in, let's play flutes, and they had said to me, they said, when I saw in the bulletin that you were playing this week, I was really happy. And they said, because when I know you're here, when I come and I even just see you walk out on stage and even sit on the stage with your flutes, that immediately makes me feel calm. Because I see your presence there, I see you there. And to me, that was like, wow, there were 2 points. It's like, so I didn't need to do anything. I didn't need to practice for 40 years. I just needed to come and sit on a chair. Let me capitalize on this, joke, but yet I did have a little bit of that. It's like, well, what about all this other stuff, the fabulous playing or whatever our ego tells us. But then, it's like, wow, it was just showing up as yourself. And that's what it was. And it's like, and so we were talking about, mindfulness, quiet, and meditation. And so, yeah, I do sort of come off as this calm, collected thing and stuff. But it's really, what is your gift? What is that thing that is your authentic self that, you give without needing to try. And so that was a turning point for me, was that someone a few years before this had told me, I would sit in with her group. She had a duo, and then sometimes I would come and play flutes. And when it was over, people would come up and talk to you and say, hey, that was great, or whatever, and start talking to me. That was always a little uncomfortable, just because I was shy. And my friend had told me, you just spent an hour and a half in front of people, and they got to know you. And now they want you to get to know them too. They want to share with you because you've been sharing with them. And that, plus this other, what I just talked about, the person who said they feel calm just because, they see me. Those two things was like the things that it's like, well, really, it's just about people wanting to relate to each other. It's not about playing, the most fabulous finger work or something like that, although that's great. And, and I think even though all I have to do is come out and sit in a chair, it's like, no, my 30, 40 years of playing music really does bring something to the table. But the important thing is really that relationship and being authentic. And so it took that took a lot of pressure off of me, as far as it's like, so that's...
And what a beautiful story, and what also a great study of human nature. Because one of your first thoughts was, oh, well, I just sit on a chair, ego. And then you got into, what did you bring to that chair? And it was your music. It was the 40 years. It was the whole thing. Mm-hmm. It was your presence. And the other comment, too, I mean, it all ties up into one wonderful package. Mm-hmm. That's you. And people do want... You can be talked at, you can be lectured at, you can have people perform in front of you, but you want to touch them and have them touch you back, in an emotional, connective way, like you said. Like in all my programs, instead of people at the beginning saying, hi, and I like pottery and I'm from Massachusetts, I go straight into the information so people are fresh to start. They're really here to see you. And then at the end, then you all chat, and it's almost like you've been friends a long time, and everybody goes away feeling like, not that they just get information or a piece of you. That's not the quite word, but quite the right word. But that connection, the fact that you understand them, they understand you, and it's just beautiful. It's beautiful, and I've seen you do that. And you do it to me all the time. And I love it.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, likewise, I think, and when you and I were talking over a few weeks ago, it's like that immediate connection. And I think, through our instrument, that's one thing that is so different about this instrument and the community around it, or it's really the community around it, is that connection. But then as soon as we started talking, we had, oh, you do that too. It's like how, even though our people might be with you and me and say our personalities are very different in that, because, it's like, I'll be vegged out. Oh yes, I'm very excited about this. Mm-hmm. And then and Helen's kind of bumping around, but it's like, wow, we have the same story when it's really about the need or the human nature of connecting and bringing people together.
And both of our natures, everybody's individual natures, not just you and I just happen to be sitting here chatting with you, which I am very much enjoying. People who come to us, they get different things from both of us. And it's like, I do a lot of shows, we make jewelry, and there could be 20 jewelers' booths in a show. And people think, oh, well, that's too many. No, I wouldn't mind being at a show where it's all jewelers, which I've done, the Tucson show, the biggest jewelry show in the world. And the reason is, the people who come to you, the people who come to me, they're touching us, our product, whether it's your flute music, your gift of teaching, my gift of teaching, the way we do these things. And everybody's drawn to different people and crossover as well, because your energy, my energy, it depends on the day and what they need and what they're looking for. And likewise, the students and people we run into at gigs or lessons or these wonderful workshops, Zoom is wonderful. I wouldn't be chatting with you. I wouldn't have gone to flute circles. I made up my own flute circle here, but now I'm going and I'm meeting people in Oregon and having great fun with them, and California, Texas. It is all about the human connection, and what a beautiful, powerful thing the flute is. And what I like about it is it's from your breath. I know everybody talks heart song and stuff, but when you play and you get in that moment, whether you want to call it a meditative, mindful moment or not, labels don't matter. But I know when you breathe and it's coming through the flute and you're hearing it and it becomes bigger and bigger in your sensory, that's powerful. And I'm a rock and roll girl. I love all kinds of instruments. I love classical violin as well. But there's something about the act of playing the flute. And maybe you get that from the silver flute. I've never played one of those. Jethro Tull is safe for me. But do you feel that when you're playing, because you've played so many instruments, do you feel a different connection that way?
I do, and I'm trying to think now that you mentioned it, is there something about this particular flute? Is there something with this? And let's see, I will say the one thing that for me, whichever wind instrument is, that connection of the breath is the thing for me. And I think in our wind instrument, in our voices, I'm not really a singer or anything, but I'm guessing it might be there too. But for our wind instruments, the breath is the key. That is the thing for me. It is. And it's like, when we pick it up, the first thing people do, where do I put my fingers? What do I do with them? And it's like, you put them there and you wiggle them, but really it's that breath. And that's that connection, that human breath to me is just there. It's like, and that is, I love when you get with an instrument or something, any kind of task, when it feels like it's part of your body, part of your body. I don't have to do any effort, it's not disconnected from me, it is. And that breath is that thing that gets it all humming together, just totally, trippy for me, that whole thing. So I think, and then what I was going to say about this instrument, I think what this instrument kind of brought to me, and I think it's through those experiences like I talked before, I think, maybe this was just the conduit at the time, but I think it's really about the community that allowed me to think about, why am I playing music, or what's my connection with the people listening? And as a teacher, what do I teach? Well, become one with it and experiment. And yeah, and once you've accomplished, then you graduate. Until then, you have to keep taking classes with me. But it's going to come, and you said something that, what a gift online is, and what a gift Zoom is. And I think, one of those hidden gifts that we got through the pandemic was, that we had to do something because we need community. But I was thinking, well, that's how we met. And I was thinking, though, like 1 year ago, like March of last year, maybe it was early April, for years, three of us, and there were a few others, but really three of us, when we were at festivals or something, we would talk. And it was myself, Johnny Lipford, and Joe Young. And we were saying, let's keep in contact and, chat and just talk through things and, help each other out and all this. And it was just never, you're busy all the time. And then last April, it's like, put the word out, hey, we aren't traveling everywhere. We aren't going anywhere. Hey, you guys want to get online? And we had commented, and I don't remember. It's like, I said something like, finally, we've been talking about this since 2012. Finally, we get together, and I think it was Johnny who made the comment. It took a global pandemic, but we finally did it. Yeah. But I think this way that we connect through Zoom and such. There's something that I heard. This was at our meditation group. The place you mentioned, Dallas Meditation Center, where I'm one of the directors at. So that's where this is at, and this was some years ago. And the teacher that was presenting that night asked the question, "What are the greatest spiritual tools?" And, we had all kinds of things, that you would expect. It's, reading a book, it's studying about, philosophy, it's this, it's all this. And then he said, for me, it's Google. And then people like, oh, what? And he said, okay, show of hands, how many found Dallas Meditation Center through an internet search? About 98% of the people. And it's like, there you have it. So anyway, what a gift, Zoom, social media, and all of those things that we have to be careful about in our lives, but what a gift. What a gift.
And when the pandemic started, I had a lot of, I do group lessons in various places. The pandemic started, everything shut down. Of course, I couldn't use the buildings, we couldn't meet. And so we tried the Zoom, and I had done a few Zoom lessons with people who were too far away to come, but I'm a tech nut. So, it was not without funny lumps in the road. But what happened is my live students, we decided, okay, let's try this. So we got each group together and up online. And what we found was, at the beginning, of course, the world was so uncertain, and it was really scary and uncomfortable. And we'd get on, and yes, we'd do our lesson and stuff, but somewhere along the line, somebody would say something, play something, squeak something, or bring something up from a class or one of my destination flutings, which is my flute circle, that would have us all laughing to the point of tears. Over laughing, almost overreacting, and just releasing all that. And a few lessons in, we just all kind of sat there and said, my God, I love Zoom. And of course, we hate Zoom. We like being live. But during that time, once a week, we would get together, and all of a sudden we were normal, we were fine. And we were checking in on each other, and we were moving forward. And I now love Zoom, even though I oftentimes still run into those lumps with it and bumps. But then I just call people and say, what do I do?
Yeah, it was a lifeline for us at that point, and now it's like it's our tool for connecting, and use it to enhance our lives. Yeah.
Well, do you have any gigs opening up out where you are now, or are things loosening up for you?
Yes, they are. I've been doing a few things. I've picked up some of the guest musician at a church. Those kind of gigs, I've been doing those. They started around Easter, just doing a few here and there. During the pandemic, I was doing some where you're a guest remotely, and sometimes those were live, but often that was record a video and submit the video. So I did those. So it was I played an outdoor Easter service, was my first time to get out and play with anyone since, I did an outdoor thing with some friends back in November or something at a park, but that was the first time that I got out and played with other musicians. And that was wonderful to play in front of a band and play with a band. It's like, wow, I do miss that. And so that's what I've been doing so far. There will be other things coming up that I'll be engaged in. I will be doing one of the trips that I was supposed to do last year in 2020 that got postponed. And so I will be doing that first week in August, and that's going out to Denver. I'll be playing with doing a concert and workshop with Mile High Flute Circle. And then I've got a few other local gigs while I'm there. And so it's like, wow, that's first time in a year and a half since I've gotten in the car and yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, we've had little things here. I don't do the big gigs like you do, although I have one in New York that is huge, but by and large, they're small community things around here. And I always thought they were fun, and I'd get excited. Now because they were taken away and now they're back, it's almost like somebody gives you dessert and then they say, oh, wait a minute, eat your vegetables first. You really want the dessert, and by the time you get to it, it's even better. And so my mind works, I don't know. So I've actually gotten a better appreciation for doing those things and wanting to go there in a different way than I was presenting myself before. Mm-hmm. Even more open. And I think I'm a pretty open, wide open, full tilt type person. But I think this has opened my eyes to what it means, like what that person said. When you show up, they feel such and such. It's a responsibility.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I'll see, because that what you just said there. Yeah, I think maybe that's what we experience when we start doing some of the bigger things like the festivals and those. Maybe I can see that I might feel it's different for me now, and it's and it's like appreciating having eaten my vegetables or whatever you said, but no, enjoying the dessert and really finding, I think it's probably, my guess is I will feel this is really more about community, even more so than it is about me, because, maybe there's that.
I'd love for you to check in with me on that, because you've been doing this all these years. I'm a newbie, by comparison, way by comparison. I just am a newbie. We don't even have to compare that. And so you've got all these things under your belt that you've been doing going along, and I would love to hear how the pandemic and being held back and now going out. I really would, and see how the mindfulness comes through on that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, we'll do that, because when you mention that, it's like, it's probably going to be different, and I'm in no real hurry at the moment to do those things. And it's like the bigger things that I would normally have in a year are pretty much still postponed through the rest of this year or whatever. So some of those won't be coming online quite yet, and that's fine. Or they are online, but not in person, or however they are. So yeah, let's check in on that and see how that goes.
And I know at some point I had done this Flute Topics with Johnny Lipford, and I know about his Sweetgrass Festival, and I've wanted to have a festival here in New England. Maybe it used to be a thing around here, but I haven't found it. I found a handful of people, but I want to do a festival someday where it's workshops and players, and I'm not just talking about me. I've got some people in mind that I've run into, and then maybe it got big enough someday. I'd love to get people like you and Johnny and Timothy and a few other people I love to come out and do it too. And that's the thing about the flute, is it can grow. It can go in different directions, because, as I've said before, everybody I have met, unlike in the horse business, which is rather ego-driven, in the jewelry business too, is everybody I have met has been hand across, not a hand up or hand down. And I'm amazed that you, Cornell, are accessible to me, and not just to me, because I have Flute Topics. But it's a different kind of world, the flute people, the people that are drawn to it. And there's a heart to it and an openness that I have not found in the other careers that I have had, and still continue to have.
Yeah, that's really a nice way to put that, Helen. I agree. And, and with you thinking about doing, some sort of flute gathering where you are, I think, yeah, that'll be wonderful when you can, get that going. And I'll mention that, so I'm director of the Pacific Northwest Native Flute Gathering, or Vashon Island, on Vashon Island. And that one, that one will be online again this year, just because of the timing of things opening up, and because we're at a retreat center with 2 to 4 people, sharing cabins and stuff and all of that, and it was still uncertain, all that. So that'll be online. But anyway, I was going to say through that that's been going on. This will be year 25, and I think the community that forms around that is like nothing else. Because I think when I was in my engineering career, what I loved there, it took me to some cities, but what I saw the hotel right outside of the airport, and then we'd drive to a restaurant one of the nights, and then we'd be in buildings and stuff, and with others, and that was great. It was fine. But then what Native Flute has brought is just these, so I'll be up at Vashon Island, state of Washington, or I'll be in Utah at the Zion School, or I'll be, say Sweetgrass with Johnny, or somewhere else. And it's like, look, there are my friends that I've seen, in Washington, in Utah, in Iowa, and that community, there's no connection that I've had ever that is like that. And the accessibility, as you said, it's just incredible. Yeah.
And I know, I'm far away from Vashon, but that is one of the ones I have to go to, want to go to. I watched it online last year. I will be watching it this year. Everything about it just suits me. And the fact that, Timothy Gomez is there, of course, you, and I'm sorry, I've got her last name, but not her first name. The place in Didgeridoo. Oh,
Pamela Mortensen, and Joe Young is the other who's on the staff.
Yeah, I mean, to walk into that group would be wonderful. And I know the one that you do out in Zion. I want to do that. But Vashon has been on the top of my list, because you basically get to go there and sequester yourself and just be open to the flute and immersed in the flute and surrounded by flutes and flute people and playing and talking and laughing. Doesn't get better than that. Plus, it's a beautiful place.
Absolutely.
So, well, I will be posting under this video all your connections, and we'll put that link on too. Is there anything else you would like to leave folks with, be it meditative or picking up the flute, or I enjoyed that very much. I really did. I like the connection over the meditating with the flute.
Right.
And the mindfulness more than meditating.
Yeah, I'd just say, let your flute playing be whatever it is about you, wherever you are right now. It doesn't matter if if you're the most proficient player or something like that. It's not about that. Let it be expressing you wherever it is right now. And I think that's it. And take it easy. Don't be hard on yourself, and be present. Listen to that sound of the flute. Listen to that, not the, oh, am I good enough? No, listen to that sound. Wow, listen to that squeak. I didn't intend it, but boy, that was a squeak.
As I tell people, especially because I sell flute, I give them a little lesson, and then if they want to take lessons, but of course they can go on and learn by themselves like anybody can. And they'll make that first squeak, and they always recoil, and they forget about the 20 notes before that they were doing fine. And I just point out, well, in the future you'll want that squeak, because it could be an angry seagull, And being from New England, we have seagulls, we got a lot of ocean. So they get it, and they lighten up, but, are we all afraid of the squeak? I don't know why.
Yeah. Yeah, but I appreciate this, Helen. It was really wonderful to be here with you, and thank you for inviting me to be in your living room and hang out with your friends.
And my parrot, she's a joy.
Yeah.
Well, I've appreciated it too, and I've enjoyed all the conversations up until now. Doing Flute Topics is actually kind of a selfish endeavor. I do share it with other people, but I get to do a lot of, connecting with people beforehand. So thank you for that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I look forward to all of you returning next time for Flute Topics. And until then, happy fluting. Bye-bye.